time to return to LA.
Thank God our 10 days in Florida were over. I've never been so stressed out in my life. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I enjoy your family. They're wonderful. They're kind. They're generous. They're loving. The entire time we were in Orlando, they wanted to keep us entertained every single minute. We were in Orlando, Florida. Where did they take us?
Theme parks!
Guess what? We work for a major theme park.
Yeah.
When we're on vacation, we avoid them. But then how could we say no to our family? Couldn't. Every day, different park. It was Disney, Universal, Busch Gardens, SeaWorld,
Gatorland.
Oh. Believe me, by the end of those 10 days, we were both thoroughly exhausted. I had no problem getting back on the airplane.
Really?
And the Xanax helped.
We had to change planes in Kansas City. Now there's this one passenger who really stood out. This is a guy who had had one too many. He was drunk.
Yeah.
Before the plane left the ground, he insisted that the flight attendant bring him a screwdriver. The flight attendant said, beverage service will begin after takeoff when it's safe to do so. When beverage service began after takeoff, he was denied his screwdriver because he was drunk. He started kicking, screaming, and swearing.
Now, when you're a fearful flyer such as myself, you're very aware of everything happening around you, every single ping, ding, mechanical sound, and conversations between flight attendants. As I sat there, sedated, frozen, and strapped into my window seat, I hear,
You know Captain Frank Cunningham?
No, no.
When he's supposed to be on this flight, would you page him, please?
Houston, we have a problem.
The next thing we hear is an announcement over the loudspeaker.
Would Captain Frank Cunningham please report to the cockpit?
Then this passenger, a guy in a yellow polo and khakis, just gets up and walks to the cockpit. The captain comes out of the cockpit and addresses the drunk. The drunk demands that the captain bring him a screwdriver. Something else was said that prompted the captain and a male flight attendant to pick up the drunk, take him to the back of the plane, and lock him in the lavatory.
Obviously, we were not flying United Airlines. These guys were not very friendly.
Little note, this is pre-9/11. Nowadays, the passengers would probably just beat the living crap out of you.
Then, all of a sudden, I felt it. In my hyper-aware state, I felt the autopilot disengage and could feel that the plane was being flown manually. First, we started to accelerate, and then we started to accelerate and descend at the same fast asleep. So instead, I read the in-flight magazine, and I quickly found the map. Now, the map's legend told me that 1 inch equaled 250 miles. By my calculations and factoring in increased airspeed, decrease in altitude, and time already spent in the air, that X equaled Albuquerque, New Mexico. For the first time in my life, I'd successfully used algebra. And now we were going to die. Wake up!
Well, we there yet?
In Albuquerque.
Now we're going to LA.
Not anymore. Next thing we heard was an announcement from our substitute captain.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. There appears to be a fog that suddenly showed up over Los Angeles, so until this fog lifts, we're going to be making an unscheduled landing in...
Say it.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. We apologize for the inconvenience and hope to resume our flight to Los Angeles as soon as it's okay to do so.
Yeah, right.
We recognize that this announcement was a stretching of the truth. Okay, it was a bold-faced lie, but you have to respect the fact that the captain could not tell the passengers what was really going on. When we touched down, it was so cool. It was like being in the middle of Die Hard 2. You totally expected to see Bruce Willis showing up with a gun in each hand. I mean, I had never seen so many guns in one place all my life. I mean, police had guns, ATF had guns, FBI had guns, paramedics had guns.
Frankly, I was just happy to be back on the ground.
Then the captain and the male flight attendant take the drunk out of the lavatory, carry him down the aisle, and hand him over to the federal authorities. Now everybody on the plane burst into applause. We were then instructed to leave the plane but to be back at the gate in 1 hour.
Hey, I've never been to Albuquerque, and I only had an hour. I gotta go shopping.
An hour later...
Isn't this exquisite? Look at that.
Is that real turquoise?
Orange in sterling.
Wait, so you paid the airport markup for turquoise and sterling?
One of us did.
An hour and several several dollars later, the captain gathered all the passengers together to update us on the situation. It was explained that this drunk claimed to have a bomb and was going to detonate it if he did not get a screwdriver. Now, they didn't take him seriously, but still, they were going to go through all the proper procedures. It was also pointed out to us that somebody else had purchased the drunk's ticket for him because he would have been denied a ticket in his current drunken state. And finally, they recited their philosophy about being stuck on the ground.
It is better to be on the ground wishing you were in the air than being in the air wishing you were on the ground.
We were then told that we could get back on the plane, but one lady had to ask.
Excuse me, what about the fog in Los Angeles?
150 passengers in unison shouted, "There was no fog in Los Angeles!"
And with that, another Xanax, they made me get back on the plane where we continued the rest of our trip without incident.
Yeah, where's the fun in that?
You're so funny.
Well,
I went all the way to Orlando, Florida with you. You know what that means, don't you?
No, what?
You're coming to Cincinnati with me.
Where? Cincinnati?
Uh-huh.
Didn't God, like, shove Cincinnati up the bottom of...
Ohio. It's blue now. Mission accomplished.
It's still Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
The Buckeye State.
The Buckeye is a nut. And a very poisonous nut.
I'm gonna go buy some.